Hello, everyone. I'm just a curious skeleton. You can call me Skelly. And today, I'm going to start discussing quite a special series. One of those that transcends itself and is recognizable to almost anyone. Final Fantasy. Pretty much a household name. Ask anyone who knows anything about games, they've probably at least heard of it. A titan of a series, it's a wonder if you haven't rubbed against it in some way. I'm one of the few who haven't really, however. Now, I have that tick that a lot of people have. I feel the urge to consume things in a chronological order, even if it is an anthology series. As a result, for a while now, I have had the urge to get into Final Fantasy, especially as someone who has played very little JRPGs. Even only this past year or so did I play things like Chrono Trigger or Tales of Vesperia. So I won't say very new, but I'm very middling in the genre so far. So, of course, that means I really wanted to play Final Fantasy in order. Now, you can kind of disregard that, as I've already broken this rule, as I have played a couple Final Fantasies throughout the years. My first Final Fantasy ever was 15, which I know is pretty mixed among fans, as a lot don't consider a proper Final Fantasy, but I picked it up on sale a couple years ago, purely on vibes. I liked the road trip journey it was presenting, and while I know it has that mixed reputation, it still has a special place to me, as it was my first one. And I really do like that road trip aspect of it, but I do think the game starts falling off once you leave that part and you get captured and the world kind of goes to shit in the game. My next Final Fantasy journey is also pretty special to me, as it was Final Fantasy 14. What made this special is it's something me and a good handful of friends ventured into together. We made up a gimmick clan name, we paired up together, journeyed through the story together for the first time. At dungeons, we would see where the other pairs were, and we would start teaming up with bigger groups, so and so. And for a couple weeks, that was the main thing we did when we hung out, making it all the way through the main story. Which again is funny, as the main story is considered the weakest part of the game. But having that journey with friends has made it a really fond memory to me. And I often find myself reminiscing about the memories me and my friend made in that game, such as grinding, or doing our little hobbies like sewing, or blacksmithing, going to player houses or bars, and seeing the different wacky things people have done or made. It's a game that has me feeling nostalgic when I think of it, despite me only having played it a year or so ago, and I often think of returning to it one day, if friends are up to it. Now, my last journey with the Final Fantasy series before I properly jumped in was last year, when I got bored and I bought Final Fantasy 16 pretty much on a whim when it was released on PC. Now, I know this is another one that's kind of mixed to the community. Once again, I found myself really enjoying it. And maybe once again, that's due to me not being too familiar with the series as a whole. I found Clive to be a pretty standout protagonist. I really liked how emotional he got. And I found the action set pieces to be really fun for the most part, though some did drag on a little long. I thought the music was incredible. My big gripe about the game would be the side quests, as they're kind of done in an MMO way, where a lot of them are fetch or kill quests that are pretty fast and meaningless. And as a result, I stuck to doing ones with the little special symbols that indicated you either get upgrades or you get like story stuff for the side characters at your base. Also, Sid was one of my favorite parts of the game, and I really enjoyed the time I spent with him. Now, the only other Final Fantasy experience I've really had has been through my admiration of Yoshitaka Amano, who served as the main character designer, title logo designer, and graphic designer of the first 6 Final Fantasies. After which he did promo art for a good bit of the games. I'm sure everyone here knows who Amano is. He has some of the most recognizable art in the world. And for my birthday this year, one of my gifts to myself was buying The Sky, the Art of Final Fantasy, which is this beautiful box set that contains 3 books of art from the Final Fantasies he contributed to, and a little biography of him that I've yet to read. And buying that is what finally pushed me to commit to the journey of starting to play through the games in order. I've decided to combine the first 3 Final Fantasies into this video, as they're the 3 I've completed so far, and they served as that original little Nest trilogy. They're also the shortest, and as such I imagine I'll probably have the least to say about them, compared to when I get to later entries. As I go through the series, I'm going to be doing some surface level research, but not too much, and I will be summarizing the main plots of the game, probably going main beat by main beat, but these really aren't meant to be retrospectives or anything. This is mainly just me documenting my journey and thoughts of each entry in the series as I complete them. Without further ado, let's get started. One of the things I have learned while doing some research of the series was that the creator, Hironobu Sakaguchi, was going to quit if Final Fantasy failed. That's a lot of pressure to have on your back as you prepare to release a game, especially the first in the series. It's also just incredible to know when you see what the series has evolved into. Such a big part of video game history could have just vanished into nothingness. I also found it funny that the name Final Fantasy simply came from the fact that the team wanted something that was abbreviated into FF, as it sounded good in Japanese. The game was originally going to be called Fighting Fantasy, but due to worries about trademarks with a role-playing game book series of the same name, they decided to switch it to Final, as it was a well-known English word in Japan. Sakaguchi commented that any title that could be abbreviated down to FF would have been satisfactory. Of course, the game was a massive success and became the flagship series of Enix, even though Sakaguchi had originally only envisioned it being one game. What started off as the roll of the dice that would determine Sakaguchi's fate in the industry turned into one of the biggest series in the history of gaming. This is also essentially what made Final Fantasy have every entry be a whole new story and world, since the original had not been designed with a sequel in mind. I should also mention that I'll be giving my experiences based off the pixel remasters of the first 6 games, not the original versions or the 3D remasters that change a lot of 3 and I think just like adapt 4. The story of Final Fantasy 1 is very straightforward. You create your party, mixing and matching however you want with the classes. Your created party are the Warriors of Light, and your job is to return light to the 4 elemental crystals and defeat chaos. The first thing your party does is go to the Shrine of Chaos and defeat the Rogue Knight Garland and save the princess. After that, you go out and restore each crystal, defeating the elemental fiends that guard them. Once they restore the last crystal, however, all the power is absorbed by a time warp at the Shrine of Chaos. The party enters the time warp and travels 2,000 years into the past. Here, they fight the elemental fiends once again, defeating them before they can be sent into the future by Garland, whose hatred created them by merging with the 4 elements of nature. When the party defeated Garland for the first time, the fiends sent him back to the past, and he then sent them into the future, thus creating a time loop that allowed him to live forever. Garland transforms into chaos, and the party defeats him, restoring balance to the world. The gameplay of Final Fantasy I is fairly simple and completely turn-based, which will change a bit after the first 3 games. The game has a good bit of staples, which you will see over and over in the series. Cid, which every game has a version of, was first mentioned in this game, as crafting the airship, though he has passed away before the events of the first game. The 4 elemental crystals are another repeating feature of the games, along with the elemental fiends that guard them. Also, the various methods of travel, which carry over to other games such as the canoe, the boat, the airship. You can see a lot in this game that serves as the foundations for a good chunk of the series. Overall, I found Final Fantasy I a lot more charming than I originally expected, and I kept getting the urge to play it. Enemy sprites and boss designs were cool and charming. The music was simple yet effective. The gameplay loop made it easy for me to really just relax as I went through it. This pretty much summarizes my thoughts of the first game though, as there isn't too much to it. It's been a couple of months since I played it, and at this point I still feel the most charm from it out of the first 3 games. It's just an easy game to jump into and relax, even if I don't find any of the characters or the story particularly memorable. Now, to go to the black sheep of the trio, Final Fantasy II, the one that took a bunch of risks, and as such, is disliked by many, and yet also one of the most important JRPGs ever made. This is also one of the games where me playing the Pixel remaster really did affect my journey with the game, as I played with the boosts the remaster offers, meaning I got more experience and money from every encounter. I was recommended to do this by a good handful of series veterans, with the other half just straight up telling me not to play it. As a result, a big part of the issues that people have with this game, mainly the leveling system, just did not affect me. The story of this game does something completely different than the first Final Fantasy, which I did appreciate. In Final Fantasy II, your party are war orphans, and I believe there is a canonical main character in class for each one, but in game, you can make them whatever. And while they are technically their own characters, it's really barely above a blank slate for the most part. Story wise, this one is about the Emperor of Palamecia trying to take over the world. It begins with your party getting attacked by Palamecian knights. You are saved by Princess Hilda, who has started organizing a rebel army. She denies your party joining at first due to her inexperience, so you go looking for your fourth party member, Leon, who disappeared after you were attacked. On your way to do that, you find a dying prince, who gives you important information about a traitor. After relaying the information, you start doing missions to help the rebel cause and beat the Empire, such as finding Mithril, stopping the construction of a warship, and when that fails, blowing up said warship as you save the princess. As you destroy the warship, you finally find your fourth party member, who has become a Dark Knight working for the evil Emperor. After that, you go and find the Dragoons, learning that most of them are dead due to Imperial poison. The party finds the egg of the last Wyvern, and teams up with the last Dragoon. They go to the Emperor's castle and confront him once and for all, and they end up slaying him. Now Leon, the party member who became a Dark Knight, declares himself as the new Emperor and wants to take over. The party goes to confront him when a demonic version of the Emperor returns, revealing that he took over Hell. Now the party teams up with Leon and defeats the Emperor once and for all this time. And after that, Leon goes into self-exile, with the party telling him that he's always welcome back. Gameplay-wise, one of the biggest controversial things about this game is the way you level things. Instead of just going on a no more experience points and leveling route, you level up things the more you do them. So you go from Fire 1 to Fire 13 by just casting the spell Fire, instead of buying a new one each level. You also get better specific weapons the more you use them, etc. I can't speak too much on this as I use boosts, so I never really had a problem leveling up. But I know it frustrated a lot of fans. One of the main ways to grind was actually to just attack and kill your own party to get experience that way. Another big part of this game is that you have 3 main party members for the most part, and a 4th slot gets filled by various characters on different missions. This is a cool idea, but it gets annoying fast. And you keep getting a 4th party member that is just under-leveled and under-equipped. And you just have this burden on your team unless you take the time to grind and equip them, which you were just doing for them to leave eventually anyway, rinse and repeat. Another annoying part of that is each time they leave their equipment. So if they end up coming back to your party, you can easily forget to re-equip them, and in that first fight, they're just way more useless than usual. A common staple of these games is that they have a ton of encounters. Like, you're getting to a fight every second or so. And by the end of these games, it just gets really tiresome. I really like the soundtrack of this game, especially the theme of the final dungeon, and I think it's easily my favorite soundtrack of the first 3 games. I also just really like the sprites of the party. That's just a little thing, but I find them really charming. All in all, the major thing of this game is having great ambitions but poor executions. I like the whole new story, but a lot of it feels sloppy, particularly the Leon plot. His motives don't really make sense, and he goes from wanting to take over the world to teaming up with you and feeling bad pretty instantaneously. I thought the Emperor was a bit fun for an over-the-top evil villain, and I wish I got more of him. It's very funny that he just instantly took over Hell in like 5 minutes. I will say another common theme of these games so far is having no real standout villains. All in all, I can appreciate what this game was trying to do, even if I found the final product a bit sloppy. I should once again mention that I am playing the Pixel remasters of these first 6 games. I know 3 has a remake where they flesh out the characters, instead of it being just a party you create on your own. And maybe I'll play that one day. But for now, this is just about my journey with the remaster of the original. Story-wise, Final Fantasy III feels very similar to the first game to me. Your party consists of 4 orphans, who find out they were the Warriors of Light. You go on to restore the 4 elemental crystals. Sound familiar? Once again, you're creating your own party. So they all start off with the job Onion Knight, as this is the Final Fantasy that introduced the iconic job system. When a cave, an earthquake occurs that drops your party into the caverns below. Here, they find the Crystal of Wind, which informs them of their destiny as the Warriors of Light and grants them some of its power. This is also how you get jobs in the game, from each crystal as you restore their power. They return to town and are instructed to go out and restore power to the world. As they journey on, restore the balance, and save various people, they learn about the villain of the game. Sande, you're really just gonna have to give me some leeway with his names, because I have no idea how to pronounce any of them. Sande was one of the apprentices of the great sage Noah. Noah gave each of his apprentices a gift, power of all magics to Doga, however you say it, power over dreams to Yune, and to Xande, the gift of mortality. Xande, however, viewed this as an insult, and he really fears death, which has led him to draining the earth and water crystals of their power as he attempts to gain immortality. Doga and Yune help the party and eventually sacrifice themselves so the party can proceed to the Crystal Tower and confront Xande in the realm Eureka. Here's where your party gets the most powerful equipment and jobs in the game, the equipment being behind optional boss fights. They also free the Warriors of Darkness that are trapped in this realm. After you confront and defeat Xande, it's revealed that he was just a pawn to the Cloud of Darkness, which seeks to return the world to a void of nothingness. You fight the Cloud of Darkness, but it pretty instantaneously wipes your team, and they are then revived by the souls of Doga and Yune. The party once more fights the Cloud of Darkness. This time, they beat it, restoring balance to the world and going back home to their village to live their lives in peace. Gameplay-wise, the job system is a fun new introduction, giving you a lot more options and things to play around with. You essentially get a couple more jobs unlocked each time you restore power to a crystal. While fun, I did find some of the jobs to be a little annoying to have to keep grinding, especially you get some of them in the very last dungeon. The game also wants you to use Minnie and Toad a good bit at the start of this game, which I found annoying, as it handicaps your party, and the mini parts especially go on for a long bit. They also learn from 2, and while people join your party in this one, they are pretty much just attached as your shadow, and not actually part of fights or anything. The final boss of this game is very lackluster. It has a cool design, but it literally only does one move, making it a boring and pretty easy fight. This game has me feeling almost the opposite of Final Fantasy II, where while more solid overall in its executions, its lack of risks really made it not be that memorable to me. Though while the overall story is lacking, I did find the characters the most memorable of all 3, particularly Desh, Doga, and Une. The world of Final Fantasy III also felt the most alive of the first 3 games. You can really feel the advancements in each game from the one before. I've had a really fun time with the game so far. I also enjoyed that these first 3 games were not that long, so I'm aware that is going to change in the future. I am enjoying my journey with Final Fantasy so far, with the first game probably still being my overall favorite, though as I'm a decent bit into 4 right now, I feel like that's about to change. As this journey continues, I'm interested in finding out just how much not only the series, but my perception of it will evolve, and I look forward to sharing those things alongside other journeys I go on. I'm just a curious skeleton, and I will see you next time.